those times, Shankaracharya's philosophy was very predominant everywhere. So any Gurukul, generally, that was all teaching, Shankara's philosophy. We see how Shankaracharya had defeated Buddhists, Jains. He had driven all the Buddhists out of India. So predominantly, it was Shankara's philosophy of impersonalism. So Yadav Prakash was also his follower, and he was also preaching in that sense impersonalism in his school. So one time, Yamunacharya happened to come to Kanchipuram, where this Ramanacharya was studying under Yadav Prakash. And Yamunacharya saw from distance this young Ramanacharya, and immediately his heart was so filled with joy. But then he saw he was a student of Yadav Prakash, and he felt very sorry for him uh, because Yadav Prakash was an impersonalist. Yamunacharya was a great Acharya of Sri Sampradaya. Mm, mm. So he wanted to meet, but he couldn't meet because he was disciple of Yadav Prakashan, who was impersonalist. But still, Yamunacharya prayed deeply in heart uh, that may this Ramanacharya be saved from this association of Yadav Prakash. May he be uh, delivered from that wrong association, so that later on he can get a Vaishnava association and he can become a great Acharya. So we see Ramacharya since childhood he was actually a great devotee, and he had natural affection for the Lord. So whenever he was studying under Yadav Prakash, and whenever Yadav Prakash would give impersonal interpretation, he would not like it. One time when he was massaging his guru, and then guru was explaining some particular verse of Chandogya Upanishad, and where there was a word called Kapyasam, where he describes that how Lord's lotus eyes are there, and he described it as Kapyasam, Kapi in a monkey, Asam, back of the monkey, how Lord's eyes are uh, red like a back of monkey. So when Ramanacharya heard it, he was little boy, but he couldn't tolerate it. What a useless interpretation he's giving. And he was his guru and he was disciple. So there was etiquette, and uh, he couldn't disrespect his guru, but at the same time he couldn't tolerate the offensive interpretation. So this is devotee. Devotee loves Lord, and if anybody criticizes Lord or puts down Lord, he feels great pain. So he was massaging his guru's back, and when he heard this explanation from Guru, he felt so much pain that hot tears started coming from his eyes, and it fell on the back of his Guru, Yadav Prakash. And Yadav Prakash understood some weight, something's weight, so he turned around and he saw actually hot uh, tears are coming from eyes of Ramanacharya. Then Yadav Prakash asked, "Are you all right? What happened?" He said, "It's so difficult for me to tolerate what you are saying. What a offensive interpretation is this?" Then Yadavaka said, "Are, so do you know better than me? So if you think you know better, please give another explanation." And then he gave another beautiful explanation of same Kapyasam, that he said how this Lord's lotus eyes are like lotus. How lotus is born from the waters and absorbs water and all that, something like that. So when Yadav Prakash heard that beautiful explanation, he became, surprised. How can this little boy speak so intelligently? At the same time, because he was challenging his philosophy, he also became little disturbed. And later on, it so happened that when Ramanacharya was studying in Yadav Prakash's school, back and forth again, such conflicts started coming. Yadav Prakash would give some impersonal interpretation, and Ramanacharya would not like it, and he would give personal interpretation. So slowly, slowly, this conflict started increasing, and in ashram on Gurukul, it became little bit, kind of, disturbance. So Yadav Prakash then one day had a meeting with his some favorite disciples, and he made a plan that he said, "This boy is becoming too much, and if he starts growing up like this, and he's challenging Shankara's philosophy, he's challenging me. Tomorrow, whole uh, this will be ruined. Shankara's philosophy will be ruined. So we have to do something." And they made a plan that we'll go to Ganga Safari, we'll go to Ganga Yatra in North India. And when you are in Yatra, we'll finish off this Ramanacharya, who was that time child in Gurukul. So they made that plan, and then they all decided that we'll go for Yatra. So Ramanacharya also was part of Gurukul, so he also joined the Yatra. Mm. But in that Gurukul, there was also cousin brother of Ramanacharya. His name was Govinda. So when he heard that from the students and teachers very confidentially that no, there is some plan to kill Ramacharya. So one night this Govinda revealed that there is a great conspiracy to kill you. So somehow or other you have to escape. So that night, then Ramacharya, who was in Yatra in North India, so he escaped in night. He was a young boy, and night he was traveling, and from North India to South India, Srirangam or this Kanchipuram, so long distance, and he was just walking and walking and walking. Then at one place he came across one hunter. That hunter and the wife were actually Lord Shiva and Parvati in disguise, and they helped him and come to this place of his Kanchipuram. So night he was traveling. Morning he got up. He was there in uh, Kanchipuram, which is like a very very long distance, thousands of kilometers. No, by mercy of Lord Shiva, he just came, and when he came to Kanchipuram, his place, actually he was relieved. So point is, he was saved. His famous guru Yadav Prakash wanted to kill him, and again after there in Yadav Prakash Yatra, there was making a drama that they lost uh, Ramanacharya, maybe some lion or tiger killed or something, And in one way they were happy, but when they came back from Yatra, sorry, Ramanacharya is still here. He's here. They were wondering how he came back and how he was saved. They thought maybe he was lost in jungle and he was killed by lion or tiger. But anyway, again he joined the Guru's ashram. But again it was always little conflicting situation. One time it so happened that there was one king there. Mm. His daughter got haunted by ghost, and then General Yadav Prakash was very famous there. So king called for Yadav Prakash to relieve his daughter from the ghost. And then Yadav Prakash came and he was trying to chant various mantras to uh, get the ghost out of the body of that princess. But then ghost spoke that, oh, Yadav Prakash, by your mantras and all these things, nothing's going to happen to me. He said, but you better call your disciple Ramanacharya. If he comes and puts his feet on my head, I will be delivered. And I will leave the body of this princess. When king heard, immediately king called for the Ramanacharya. He was little boy disciple. Then he came, and then when he placed the feet of his on the head of that princess, immediately that ghost left the body. And ghost was delivered by taking the dust of lotus feet of Ramanacharya. And then Yadav Prakash became very upset and angry that this my disciple is becoming more and more famous and all these things. So he became very, very jealous and all these things. But it is said that later on, after a long time, this Yadav Prakash realized his mistake later on when this Ramacharya became great Acharya. He came and surrendered to him and became his disciple. And so Ramacharya later on he was married, and he used to invite many saintly people at home and he used to serve them. Mm. One of the great teachings of Ramacharya is actually Vaishnava Seva. Like different acharyas are known for different things. So the most important or primary teaching of um, Ramacharya is of Vaishnava Seva. So he himself was doing great always Vaishnava Seva and used to invite many saintly people at home. However, uh, one time it so happened that he invited Kanchipurna. Kanchipurna is a great saint, he's a pure devotee of Lord. However, from social standpoint of view, he was born in low class family. He was not a Brahmana. So uh, when he was invited, somehow, uh, actually Ramanacharya had a great appreciation for Kanchipurna because Ramanacharya knew Kanchipurna as a pure devotee of Lord and he would take a lot of inspiration and guidance from him. And one day when he had invited Kanchipurna for prasad at home, his wife cooked prasadam, and then when Ramacharya went to call Kanchipurna, before Ramacharya could reach Kanchipurna's place, Kanchipurna himself came from another route. And when he came home, then this wife of Ramacharya gave prasad to Kanchipurna, and then Kanchipurna took prasad and left. And after that, this wife of Ramacharya cleaned the house, cleaned Bartan, gave off that all that whatever remnants, thinking that some low class person had come. So she cleaned the house with cow dung and all these things, and all the remnants she just gave off, and then again he started cooking. When Ramanuja, because he didn't find Kanchipurna at the place, so he came back, and then he came back and he saw that his wife had cleaned everything again and again cooked, and then she was requesting to offer. He said, why are you cooking again and why this cleaned everything? Then she said that actually this Kanchipurna came, I served him food, prasad, he took and left. So I thought it's contaminated whole house and all that. So I cleaned with cow dung and all this thing, and I gave the remnants to outside. So Ramanuja felt so sorry, Such a great Acharya came Kanchipurna and she's considered outcast and she, gave away all the remnants. He actually main purpose of his inviting Kanchipurna home was he wanted remnants of Kanchipurna. But he treated inappropriately Kanchipurna and she had very did not have proper respect. So he felt so this thing depressed. Later on, and when such incident happened many times, uh, then he felt maybe I have to take sannyas. So he was thinking how to do that. So one day he only wrote one letter on behalf of his father-in-law, addressing his wife and said that your other sister is getting married or something like that, and you please come and all this thing. There is a great festival at home, whatever. Some he wrote letter, and when wife mm, of Ramachandra read that letter, she was so happy. And she asked Ramachandra, "Let's go to my father's place. We have great festival at home." Ramacharya said, "No, no, I'm little busy. You can go." No. When Ramacharya gave permission, she was very happy that I can go home. So she went home, and here Ramanuja left home and he took sannyas. So when the wife went home, and his father was surprised how she came and how she came alone. Then she said, "You sent the letter," and she showed the letter. And father, I never wrote this letter. Then realized what happened. So that letter was written by Ramacharya only. But anyway, by the time she came, already he had taken sannyas. So, in one way, in that way, he tricked. Prabhupada writes in Srimad Bhagavatam, first and 13th chapter, purport that Sometimes great souls trick for a great cause. Mm. They don't trick for, sense gratification. Because Ramanuja had a bigger purpose in his life. So, for sake of delivering the people of the world, he left home. So we see that when he was in Kanchipuram, mm, mm, he got a very wonderful association of Kanchipurna, who used to serve Varadaraj. And he had such nice relationship with Varadaraj that many people, whenever they had any questions, they would go to Kanchipurna ask questions and request him to ask to Varadaraj DT. And then he would ask questions to Varadaraj DT and Varadaraj DT would answer him. And he used to come back and share what Varadaraj answered. So we see, so he had a very these things. So one time, this Jai Shri Shrinitai Gauranga ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. We say that Shri Sampradaya that time was led by Acharya, and his main center was in Sri Rangam. And uh, one time when this Ramanacharya got news that Yamacharya has called him, so he left from Kanchipurna to go to Sri Rangam. But the time when he reached Sri Rangam, he saw all devotees there are crying and weeping, and then he found out that actually Yamacharya actually left. The Ramacharya had great desire to meet Yamunacharya, but before he could reach, he just Yamunacharya left the world. And when Ramacharya took darshan of Yamacharya, he saw Yamunacharya's three fingers were closed. Then he asked other devotees whether was this his natural, what do we say, position? Was he who used to hold these three fingers like this? Disciples said no. Then Rama said this since that Yamunacharya has some three unfulfilled desires in his mind. Then immediately understanding the heart of Yamunacharya, Ramanacharya spoke three things. He said, I will write Shibhashya, which will refute Shankaracharya's impersonalism. As soon as he said that, one finger got opened up. Then he said, in future I will name one of the students as Parashar in glorification of Parashar Muni, the great author of Vishnu Puran and father of Vyasadeva. Immediately, second finger mm, opened up. And then he said, I'll preach these teachings mm, of personalism, as mentioned Shibhasya, all throughout world. I'll preach it extensively. As soon as he said that, then another finger also got opened. So everybody was amazed, and everybody could understand. Here is a person who understands the heart of our Guru, Yamunacharya. Anyway, after that they did the final rites and whatever now, and then Ramacharya again went back to Kanchipur. So Ramacharya wanted to take initiation from Kanchipurna, and he had also some questions and doubts, which he wanted to clarify. So he went to Kanchipurna and he asked five, I think six questions, and he said, "You can kindly ask Varadaraj DT and get answers for these questions." And then we see that uh, Kanchipurna went to DT of Varadaraj and shared the questions asked by Ramanacharya. These are the questions asked by him. Please answer. And then Varadaraj DT spoke and answered all his questions. Based on these questions, like answers of Varadaraj deity, Ramacharya wrote his Shivahashya. Also, one of the questions he had asked is because he was very much wanting to take initiation and he wanted to take initiation from Kanchipurna. But Kanchipurna was always refusing. Kanchipurna said, "Oh, I am low born, I am not qualified to be your guru." Hmm. And one of the questions he had asked that, please direct me to proper guru who can initiate me. And Varadaraj deity spoke that you should take initiation from Sri Mahapurna, the great disciple of uh, Yamunacharya. So when he heard that I have taken it, immediately he uh, started walking from Kanchipuram to Srirangam so that he can meet Sri Mahapurna and take initiation from him. And there in Srirangam, there was a meeting of all devotees. After Yamunacharya left the world, actually devotees in Srirangam were very discouraged. They were feeling great separation. And then uh, they were wondering now who will lead us. Though they were very exalted acharyas, great devotees in Srirangam, but still they felt, that inspiration missing. And so they had a great meeting among themselves and they were discussing, uh, we need an acharya who will inspire everyone and take forward us in this path of bhakti as Yamunacharya took us. And then when they're discussing, unanimously they agreed that Ramanacharya should be made as the next acharya because he understands the heart of Yamunacharya. Mm. And the Vaishnavas in Sri Rangam, they said they appointed Sri Mahapurna that you should go and somehow convince Ramanacharya and bring him back to this Sri Rangam. So Sri Mahapurna was going from Sri Rangam to um, Kanchipuram and Ramanacharya is coming from Kanchipuram to Sri Rangam. On the way they met. So on the way they met, and then when Ramacharya met Sri Mahapurna, he was so happy. Immediately fell at his feet and requested him that, oh, please accept me as disciple and please initiate me. So Mahapurna said, yes, yes, I will initiate you. Let's go to Sri Rangam, and then we'll have initiation ceremony there. So Ramacharya said, no, actually, I wanted to take initiation from Yamunacharya. But by the time I reached uh, Srirangam, already Yamunacharya left. So life is very short. We don't know where what will happen, when will happen. So please give me initiation here only. So on the roads only, there only, there was an initiation program. And then Sri Mahaprabhu initiated Ramanacharya in Sri Sampradaya. And later on, he became the next Acharya. So it's very amazing that though Ramacharya was made Acharya, he was always very humble and he always took instruction from his senior devotees or disciples of uh, Yamunacharya. Like he was always humble and always served menially Kanchipurna and took his association very sincerely. Similarly, he always humbled himself in front of Mahapurna uh, and he took initiation from him and got a lot of direction from him. Similarly, he also very humbly served Goshtipurna, Shailapurna, Malakar, and others whom he considered as his gurus. So he had many gurus in one sense, and these are all great disciples of Yamunacharya. So we see one time this Mahapurna told him that he should go to Goshtipurna and get special mantra. He has a special mantra and he can get that would be wonderful. So we see Ramanacharya, who is the Acharya of Sri Sampradaya. He left Sri Rangam, went to Goshtipurna, Tirugostiur or something places there. Even today is that beautiful place. So he went there to the house of Goshtipurna and he fell at his feet and begged from him for initiation, this giving that special mantra. Now here is the Acharya of Sampradaya, no? He's falling at feet. But still Goshtipurna said, no, no, actually I cannot give this mantra to you. And Ramacharya is feeling so bad. I was thinking I'm not qualified. And repeatedly he requested Goshtipurna for initiation in the special mantra. But Goshtipurna rejected him. One time there was a special festival in which deities, Utsamurti, were taken in a procession. And in that, this deity spoke to Goshtipurna that you should give mantra to, Ramanacharya. Still, Goshtipurna actually did not give. No? So finally, mm, so like that, 17 times happened. Then 18th time, actually, yeah, Ramanacharya approached this Goshtipurna and begged, and he was crying. And seeing his desperate this thing, Goshtipurna was convinced that here is a worthy person to give mantra. And then Goshtipurna said, this is a very special mantra. Anybody who hears this mantra will be delivered from cycle of birth and death. He will never have to take birth again in this material world. He will go back to Vaikunta. And he said, you should never give this mantra to anyone. The secret mantra, confidential mantra, and cannot be given to unqualified people. So I am giving to you, keep it confidential. So saying this Ramacharya was given special mantra by Goshtipurna. And as soon as Ramacharya heard this mantra, he became so ecstatic. He became so joyful, blissful, and then he became after receiving that mantra, he very happily went, joyfully went, and then he went to the temple. In that city is actually temple city. Temple city means temple is the center, and all people live around it. He went to the top of that Gopuram and made announcement that I have a special mantra. So all those who want to be delivered from the cycle of birth and death, please come. All those just by receiving this mantra, he will be free from all the problems of life, all the miseries of life, all sufferings of life. Please come, no? And when people heard Ramanacharya making this announcement, all thousands and thousands of people came. And from the top of that temple, he loudly chanted the mantra. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. And this was so loudly, all thousands and thousands of people were chanting. And that sound, roaring sound, entered the house of, Goshtipur. And Goshtipur heard this mantra. He said, "Arey, what's happening? This is a confidential mantra, and where from the sound is coming?" We went out and saw thousands and thousands of people have assembled, and everybody is hearing this mantra, everybody chanting this mantra. And we found out this Ramacharya is standing on top of the temple around that Gopuram and making this, giving this mantra free of cost. Goshtipurna was so, you know, fiery. He became so angry, so upset. How arrogant and how disobedient this Ramanuja is. I gave him mantra. I told him not to, tell to anyone. Uh, so he was so furious on Ramanuja, and he went inside his home. And after Ramacharya giving this mantra, he got down from the Gopuram, came down, and then directly went to the house of Goshtipurna. And when he entered the house of Goshtipurna, he again offered dandavats to Goshtipurna. And when Goshtipurna saw Ramacharya, he was so angry. He was so upset. He said, "You fool, you rascal, I told you this is a confidential mantra, not to be given to anyone. And you have publicly revealed it. How dare you do that? How dare you disobey your Guru? Don't you know if you disobey the orders of Guru, you go to hell?" So this Goshtipurna was so angry and upset after when he strongly chastised Ramacharya. He became silent. And when Goshtipurna became silent, then Ramacharya spoke. He said, "My dear Gurudev, please forgive me for disobeying you and your instruction." He said, "However, you said to me that this mantra is very powerful. Anybody hears this mantra, anybody chants this mantra, he'll be delivered and he'll go back to Vaikuntha." So he said, "I was thinking, people are suffering so much in this world. If they receive this mantra, then millions and millions of people will go back to Vaikuntha. And imagine if millions can go back to Vaikuntha and one person goes to hell, how does that matter? He said, I knew that by disobeying you, I will go to hell. But imagine, why am I going to hell if millions and billions of people can go to Vaikuntha and they can be free from all suffering? Hmm, how wonderful it would be." So when Koshtipurna heard it, and especially he saw how compassionate Ramanacharya is, how his heart is so soft, how he is feeling for pain of everyone, and how he is ready to go to hell to deliver everyone. Immediately Koshtipurna fell at the feet of Ramanacharya and he said, "Actually, you are my guru. You have really taught the real essence of scriptures. This compassion actually is what really touches the heart of Lord." And he said, "How your personification of this compassion." So we see Ramanacharya was very, very compassionate. And that's why actually he traveled so widely and preached. We see another guru he had was Shailapurna, where so we see Ramacharya, he sat at his feet and for months together he studied from Shailapurna in Tirupati. Another was Malakar. So like that, though he was Acharya himself, he always humbled himself in front of disciples of Yamunacharya and learned from them. And also Ramanacharya had very, like he had illustrious gurus, he had also very illustrious disciples. One of the disciple we know is a Dhanurdas. One time in Srirangam, there was a great procession of Ranganath Swami going on, and everybody was chanting and dancing and all these things, and going big procession. Ramacharya saw on the street, in one corner, there was a young one, mm, powerful wrestler, he was a great bodybuilder, and he was standing with umbrella in hand and covering one lady's head, and he was looking at that lady, and he was giving shade to that lady, and he was completely absorbed, and he did not even realize such a big procession of thousands and thousands of people is passing by with so much procession means so much sound and all this thing. And Ram saw this person, he's so absorbed in watching the beauty of that lady, and he has no idea, no respect for Lord also. So he felt very sorry. Later on, after the procession, this Ramanacharya sent a message and to his disciple, and through disciple got Dhanurdas. And Ramanacharya asked him, "You are, procession was going on, but you did not pay any attention to procession. Lord of the universe is going, and you did not pay at all any attention, and you are absorbed in watching mm, the face of that lady." Then Dhanurdas said that, "My dear sir, in my life, I have never seen anything as beautiful as the lotus eyes of that lady. So I'm very much captivated by her." Then Ramanuja said, "If I show you something more beautiful than that," and he said, "If you show me more beautiful, then I will get captivated by that." And he said, "Okay, you come tomorrow evening to temple for darshan." And then he invited Dhandas and he took him and he showed from lotus feet of Lord Sri Rangam in Rangnath Swami's lotus feet to the whole. And when he was giving darshan from lotus feet and navel and then chest and then beautiful lotus face and then lotus eyes, When this Dhanurdhar saw the lotus eyes of Rangnath Swami, immediately he got so attracted, so captivated that he decided to dedicate his life to serve Rangnath Swami. So by mercy of Ramacharya, this person who was attached to lady became attached to Rangnath Swami. Later on, Ramacharya got Dhanurdhar married to that lady, and both of them became great devotees, and then they were serving Ramanacharya. And Ramacharya, so other disciples, when they saw Ramacharya was giving little special attention and affection to Dhanurdhar, they started becoming little envious of him. They started thinking, "Arey, he's a grahastha, he's a materialistic, conscious person. We are sannyasis, we are brahmacharis, we are staying in temple. But how is that Ramacharya giving so much of affection to this person?" So when Ramacharya saw that some of his leading disciples, brahmacharis, sannyasis, they are feeling envious of Dhanurdhar. Uh, so one time he performed this wonderful trick. So he's one time called his leading disciples and he's told that you see this Dhanurdhar is coming every day here. So he's very attached to money and women and all these things, no? So one day we'll expose him. They said yes, yes, very nice. No? Then he said that one night I will call Dhanurdhar here, and when he's here, you can go and loot all the wealth from him, no, and bring. And then we'll see how much he's attached to his wealth and other things. They said okay. So one evening, uh, Ramachar called for Dhanurdhar Das to ashram, to temple. And Ramacharya was talking with Dhanurdhar, and then that time he sent his disciples, and it became very late night. And then Dhanurdhar's wife, she slept, and his disciples came. They saw his wife was sleeping. Then they went slowly, sneaking inside, and then they tried to collect all the whatever wealth he had. And then they saw wife was sleeping, and she had many beautiful ornaments. So they took some ornament from one side, and actually wife was awake, but she did not uh, move. She was thinking, these are uh, devotees from temple, and they are coming to steal some ornaments and jewelry and some wealth. That means maybe temple is having some financial problem. And she was very happy that they are taking. And when they took jewelry from one side of her body, she was thinking that they should take jewelry from other side also. So she just little bit turned, so that appearing it is that sleeping and in sleep, she just turned so that they can take the other side of jewelry. But when she turned, these disciples thought, alright, she has woken up. So they immediately they ran and went. And then came, and meanwhile, then Ramacharya sent Dhanurdhar back to home. It was midnight by the time he came home. And his disciples came and gave the jewelry to, Ramacharya and told, this is what we got from his home. Then Ramacharya, you go and now back and just go and see what's happening at his home. And then this brahmacharis and sannyas, they went and they were watching from the window what is happening inside. And when this Dhanurdhar came home, he saw wife. One side of wife wasn't having jewelry, another side was not having jewelry. And he was wondering what happened. He asked, and the wife told, actually today when you in night, some of the uh, temple devotees came and they were trying to they were trying to take away some wealth and jewelry and all this thing. And I was sleeping, they took away one side jewelry. And then she said, I just little bit turn so that they can take away other side of jewelry also. But they ran away. When Dhanurdhar heard this, he became a little disturbed and he started saying, oh, foolish lady, you should have turned little, no. in such a way that they would not have feel fearful, We are so unfortunate we couldn't actually serve our Guru. What is use of this wealth and all these things? Actually, it is Guru's property, and when it's only meant for Guru's service. And when brahmacharis and sannyasis, when they saw from window uh, the discussion between Dhanudhar and wife, they immediately felt so ashamed that this Dhanudhar, he is so attached to Ramanacharya, he is so attached to service of Lord. He has no attachment to wealth or woman or anything. His only attachment is to Krishna and service to Guru. So they came back and then they begged forgiveness later on. So we see that Dhanudhar, though he was a Grahastha, but he was very exalted Grahastha. Mm, mm. And by his surrendered and service attitude, he really conquered the heart of Ramanacharya. Time is 9 o'clock. I will fast forward few past times and then, because today is very special day. In few minutes, I will try. There are so many wonderful past times. I will fast forward things and maybe end in 10 minutes. Then another great devotee is Dashrathi, who was a great scholar. And we see one time when uh, Mahapuna's daughter Atulai came home. She had some difficulty at her house, and then Mahapurna wanted she that Atulai wanted some servant at home who could help out the thing. And when Ramacharya came to know about it, immediately called Dashrathi. He said, "You should go and become a servant, a menial servant at the house of Atulai, and to assist her in all menial services." Dashrath was a great scholar, Pandit, mm, and very famous. But we see how he became menial servant of Atulai's home, where helping in bringing water, cooking, and all these things. And it's a big pastime how after more than 6 months or so, when one Mayavadi speaker came and speaking all Mayavad, that time how Dashrathi challenged him and defeated him. And then that was time when everybody came to know that he's not just a menial servant, he's a great disciple of Ramacharya. And we see. So Ramacharya had such dedicated disciples like Dhanurdhar, Dashrathi. Another is Kuresh. We see when Kolatunga, there was some debate, and he had made a plan to kill Ramanacharya. So then Kuresh came forward and he said, "My dear Ramanacharya, if you die, then there is no hope for the world. But if I die, there's no loss for the world. So instead of you, maybe I should go for the debate and do that." So because king had made a plan to kill Ramacharya, so we see how Kuresh took the dress of Ramacharya, sannyasi dress of Ramacharya, and went and he gave his grahastha dress to Ramacharya. Ramacharya escaped and how he went to Melkote and all that. So we see that he defeated that all the scholars of king, and then that time when king was very angry, upset, he wanted to kill, mm, but then he remembered that Ramacharya saved my daughter. So instead of killing, he said, "Okay, we'll pluck his eyes." So that time, Quraysh's eyes were, with red hot, iron, were plucked. And when he became blind, we see that when he came to Ramacharya, Ramacharya saw he was blinded. He felt great pain, and he said, "You should go back to Srirangam." He said, "Go back to uh, Varadaraj or some deity, Varadaraj, and go and ask him for your eyes. They will give you." But then when this Quraysh went in front of Varadaraj, he thanked Lord that he was able to do some service to his Guru. And then he said, he chanted many nice prayers. And when Varadaraj was pleased, Varadaraj spoke to him that, "My dear Quraysh, I'm so pleased, ask any benediction you want." And then Quraysh said, "My dear Lord, this Kolatunga, unfortunately, is so envious. Lord, filled with envy, and he's suffering so much. Please deliver him, free him from envy, and bless him." And he came back. And then when he came in front of Ramacharya, he saw your eyes are still not there. So he said, "Arey, how come you don't have eyes? Didn't you ask uh, for your eyes?" And he said, "What did you pray?" He said, "Actually, I just prayed for this Kolatunga. He said, "No, now you should go and get your eyes back." Again, he went, he offered prayers. And when Lord was pleased, he said, "My dear Suresh, so please ask any prediction you want." And he said, "My dear Lord, that Chatugram was earlier my disciple, but later on he became so envious. He joined hands with Kolatunga, who plotted all this plan, to kill Ramaja. Please forgive him and please bless him." Again, he came back and Ramachandra saw he had no eyes. Uh, he said, "What happened?" He said, "This is what happened." So finally, he said, Ramachandra said, "Arey, you don't think that this body is yours? This is my property. So if Guru's property is lost, you should recover that property back. So then he went, then he prayed, and then he got divine eyes. So this was another disciple, Quraysh. Uh, Later on, this Quraysh had a son called who was named as a Parashar, who became the next Acharya of Sri Sampradaya. Similarly, there is another disciple of Varadaraj and his wife Lakshmi. We know how they were very poor and they wanted to serve Raman, Acharya and all that things. Now Mahaprasad pastime is there. There is also another great devotee, Ananta Acharya, who has been instrumental in developing Tirumala, Tirupati, Devasthanam. So he had a very, very great disciples as well, very dedicated. And we can see from their example what it means to be surrendered. So another prime teachings of Ramacharya is Sharanagati. So these disciples very personify surrendered very much. So as far as teachings concerned, Ramacharya taught Vishishta Advaita. How? Vishishta Advaita means we are one qualitatively only. So we are one, but not in everything, but qualitatively one. Like Shankaracharya said, everything is one, but he said, no, not everything is one. But in quality, we are one. So Vishishta Advaita, that is called. Later on, Mahaprabhu came and taught Bheda, which means we are in quality one, but in quantity different. Living entities and God are one in quality, both are Sachidananda. But in quantity, they are different. Living entity is Anu, Lord is Vibhu. Living entity is infinitesimal, Lord is infinite. So Ramacharya was one who started preaching this personalism and he defeated Mayavad impersonalism. And especially his teachings of Vaishnava Seva, under his teaching of pure devotional service, he taught about unalloyed pure devotional service. And he spoke about this Sharanagati very much. He wrote many books. One of the famous book is Sri Bhashya. Like that. So Ramacharya stayed in this world and preached for 120 years, from 1017 to 1037. Sorry, 1137. Almost 120 years he preached. And finally, in Srirangam, before he was leaving the world, he gave final instructions to everybody. Even today, if you go in Srirangam, his body is still there. So he spoke to all his disciples. He said, "Worship all Vaishnavas as you worship your Guru. If you want to please Krishna, then we should worship Vaishnavas." So not only we worship Guru, but we also worship every Vaishnava like we worship Guru. Then he said, "Never be satisfied by worldly knowledge. Try to cultivate spiritual knowledge and try to control mind and senses and engage them in service of Krishna." He said, "Always relish the chanting of the holy names of Lord." This is what by which we'll get connected to God, feel presence of God. When establish our relationship with God. He said, best service is Vaishnav Seva. So always keep Vaishnav Seva in forefront. He said, this is world of matter, and there is always contamination, impurity everywhere. So always endeavor for purity. Daily contemplate on spiritual master and teachings of Vaishnava Acharyas. In this world, we can be lost any time. But if you remember spiritual master and his teachings and teachings of previous acharyas, then we'll get direction in this dark age. He said, avoid non-devotional association. Asat Sangha is cause of all fall. So consciously avoid Asat Sangha. And he said, never ever worry about future. You are surrendered to Krishna. Krishna has promised, Sarva Dharman Pratijam Mam Ekam Sharanam Raj. Am Tvam Sarpapyabhyo Mokshashyami. Mahasucha. Do not fear, do not worry. Do not worry about future. Just worry how to surrender to Krishna and how to serve Krishna and please Krishna. Krishna will take care. And he said, please study this Sri Bhashya and teach it to others. If you teach and inspire others to surrender to lotus feet of Lord, that is the most pleasing to Lord. So this is some of his final instructions before he unmanifested himself on this day of today. So we can pray to Ramanacharya that we can also mm, develop some service attitude, especially service attitude to Vaishnavas. We can also try to aspire for pure devotional service. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagdish kamay, mama janmani janmaneshwari, bahutar bhakti ahituktai. We don't want anything of this material world, but we want to surrender at lotus feet of Lord, serve Lord, and please Lord. And we can pray that we can develop a drop of compassion in our hearts and we can become instrument in compassionate mission of Srila Prabhupada. We can see actually Srila Prabhupada very wonderfully represented Ramanacharya. We see following footsteps of Sri Ramacharya. Prabhupada also wrote a commentary and he was so enthusiastic to defeat impersonalism. Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshtari. And we see how Ramacharya is so compassionate. He was ready to go to hell to deliver all the people of the world. Similarly, Prabhupada was living in Vrindavan, but he was ready to go to Bowery in New York, which is just like hell, uh, uh, to share this message of Krishna consciousness to deliver whole world. So, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Sripad Ramanacharya ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol.